YouTube. Alright, today we're going to be discussing knuckle soreness and pains in the wrists. So if you have hand or knuckle soreness, it would be anticipated that you are relatively new to the sport. So if you're new to the sport, you want to make sure you protect your knuckles, which is the part where you cause the most damage because that's the direct contact. And you also want to make sure this part of your hand, the wrist, stays stable while it strengthens itself. If you want or have decided to stay with the sport for a while, you want to make sure your knuckles and wrists are in the best condition so that you can do it for as long as you physically can move. Because it probably will be with you for a while once you get the bug. Okay, so how do I protect my knuckles and how do I protect my wrists? I'm sure you've heard of this newfangled object called boxing gloves. So boxing gloves are twofold. They protect your knuckles and they protect your wrist, some of them. So I would suggest, first thing, get boxing gloves which protect your knuckles. So what am I talking about? So if you had so imagine you put your hands in the gloves and there's a thickness of padding, so it could be foam, it could be latex, to protect your direct contact of knuckle with, let's just say, a bag outside. So if that's the glove, the bag is outside here. So if you want to make punches, I would suggest you can have thickness or density of foam between your knuckles and the bags or pads that does this. I would suggest, if you are new, you wouldn't want to get so if you are new, I would suggest getting padding that would allow you to punch just like that. So it keeps you cushioned and allows your knuckles and wrist to acclimatize, to get tougher, stronger, so that when you want to punch harder or cause more damage to others, your hands can handle it. So I would suggest looking for thick / dense foam, so that to the point that this stays within the glove. So when you get more used to the punch, the force on your knuckles, that's when your knuckles penetrate through and gets outside your gloves. So if you're making punches, you can see there's a cushion in between. If you get thinner gloves with thinner padding or different forms of padding, your knuckles will penetrate and get through your opponent, which is the aim of the game in boxing, to cause your opponent damage so that they can't punch back or lose. So sum up for knuckles, I would suggest getting thick / dense enough foam or latex that your knuckles stay within the confines of the glove and that doesn't poke through or penetrate. So when your knuckles do get through the glove, and now an external factor affects why you get sore knuckles. Two things: is your heavy bag lightly packed, or is it like some of the bags in my gym where the bottom of it is like concrete? You go whack and you're like, oh, your whole arm is like, let's not do that again. So these are other factors that will affect the soreness of your knuckles. So in your control, your gloves, if you have enough padding or density that still cushions you, that is your first form of defense for getting your knuckles ready for toughening up. And then second is, how dense is your heavy bag? And also when you're hitting the pads, some pads are softer, some are not so soft. So those are external forces out of your control. So that's the knuckles. Second thing now is your wrist. If your wrist is not strong or tiny, because I know some others who have a much bigger wrist and they have no issues with wrist from the beginning. If you're one of those lucky people, good for you. If you're like if you're like the others who don't have thick, wide, chunky forearms and wrists, this would be something you want to consider. Get gloves that will support or secure your wrist so that it doesn't start doing these and these, and that's when your injuries happen. So to summarize, two things. You have knuckle soreness because you're probably new and need to get used to it. Second thing, maybe your gloves aren't protecting you the way they should be. And number three, maybe don't hit so hard too fast, because some of you may have a lot of power innately, but your knuckles haven't been conditioned enough so that you can take the brunt of the force which you are built to generate. So hopefully that helps. If you want to comment below, please chime in. I'd love to start a discourse about this, because I'm sure a lot of people are curious about topics like this. And if you found this useful, please subscribe and maybe put a like. Now it's my turn to hit the bags and see me get to work. Till next time.